Welcome to our new lesson. If you've ever been invited to a Miro board, opened the link, and immediately felt like you'd been dropped into the middle of someone else's fever dream, with sticky notes everywhere, arrows pointing at nothing, and no obvious place to start, well then, this video is for you. So if you're standing here and wondering, what is a Miro? Let's start by solving that dilemma. Miro is a collaborative whiteboard. Teams use it for brainstorming, workflow mapping, project planning, and async collaboration. But here's the thing. A Miro board doesn't organize itself. Give 10 people access to a blank canvas with no structure, and within 20 minutes you'll have what can only be described as a visual representation of a group chat argument. Technically, everything is there. It's just that, well, nothing is findable. This video will get you up and running from scratch. It will tell you what Miro is, how the interface works, and how to build a board that's actually navigable. By the end, you'll have a structured, named, shareable board that someone else can open and understand without you in the room. Let's get into it. The simplest description of Miro is that it is a collaborative whiteboard. Are you thinking, well, sure, aren't there many? Yes, there's a lot of them, and just describing it that way undersells it. A physical whiteboard is static, erased after the meeting, and limited to whoever's in the room. Miro is persistent, infinite, and accessible by anyone with a link, whether they're sitting next to you or in a different time zone. It's worth being clear about what Miro is not, though, because these tools often get used interchangeably when they shouldn't. A document is linear. It's built for reading top to bottom. A slide deck is also linear, but designed for presenting. Miro is neither. It's spatial. The value is being able to arrange information visually, see relationships between things, and zoom in and out of detail. If a document is a book and a deck is a presentation, Miro is more like a thinking space. In Miro, your ideas get organized before they become anything else. So when does it make sense to reach for Miro? Well, it's most useful when you're brainstorming and want to capture ideas quickly without worrying about structure yet. When you're mapping a process and the relationships between steps matter as much as the steps themselves. Or when you're planning something with multiple people who need to contribute asynchronously by adding comments or sticky notes on their own time, without needing to be in a live session. And when does it not make sense? If the deliverable is a document someone needs to read carefully, write the document. If you need a polished deck for a board presentation, build the deck. Miro is the thinking layer, not the final output layer. Knowing that distinction will save you from using it for the wrong things. Next up, let's do a quick tour before we start building. Really, nothing slows down early learning like not knowing where things live. Along the left side of the screen, you'll find the main toolbar. This is where you access sticky notes, shapes, frames, text, connectors, and everything else. Most of these also have keyboard shortcuts, which we'll cover shortly. In the bottom center are the zoom controls. You can zoom in to work on detail, zoom out to see the full board, or press Ctrl plus Shift plus H at any time to instantly snap everything back into view. That shortcut is worth memorizing early. When you've zoomed into something and lost your bearings, it's your way back. Along the top are your sharing controls and board settings. And on the right side, appearing when you select something, is the formatting panel. Font, color, size, it's all contextual to whatever you've selected. Now let's start making your first board. From the Miro home screen, click the plus button or New Board. Give it a name that actually describes what it's for, not New Board 1. I mean, not unless you want this to haunt you in 3 weeks when you have 12 boards called New Board and no idea what any of them contain. Once you're in, spend a minute just exploring. Then, double-click on an empty area that creates a text box. Press N that creates a sticky note. Press Escape to deselect. Ctrl plus Z undoes anything you didn't mean. Get comfortable with the canvas before we start structuring it. So, what do I need to keep in mind as I start building? It's that structure comes before content in Miro, no exceptions. The natural instinct when you open a blank canvas is to start dropping things on it. I mean, go wild, drop a sticky note here, a shape there. And for the first few minutes, it feels productive. The problem is that this approach scales terribly. 50 sticky notes and a dozen shapes with no organizing logic isn't a board. It's an infinite desert where people get lost. The fix is frames. And understanding how to use them is the single skill that most separates a confusing Miro board from a professional one. Think of frames as rooms in a building. The canvas is the building, enormous, holds anything, but you don't wander a building at random. You go to specific rooms organized for specific purposes. Frames do that for a Miro board. To create one, press F on your keyboard. Click and drag to draw it. Start generous with the size. It's easier to expand later than to keep bumping up against the edges. Once it appears, double-click the label at the top to rename it. And naming conventions matter more than most people realize. If you name your frames things like brainstorm and plan, you'll have a board that looks organized, but is hard to navigate in practice. The better approach is a numbering convention, like the naming convention you can see on the screen right now. The numbers force an order. When someone opens the board and looks at the sidebar, they immediately see the sequence. Now, have you noticed this sidebar here? That sidebar on the left, which lists all your frames, is one of the most underused features in Miro. When your frames are named well, it becomes a table of contents. Anyone who opens the board can see the full structure at a glance and jump directly to any section by clicking its name. This matters especially for async use. If you're sharing a board with someone who wasn't in the original session, they shouldn't have to figure out where to look. A clear sidebar tells them, here's what this board contains, and here's where everything lives. And one more small feature worth knowing, you can share a direct link to a specific frame. Right-click any frame, you can click on the canvas or in the sidebar and choose Copy Link. That link opens the board and lands the viewer exactly on that frame, with no hunting required. If you're asking a colleague to review a specific section, send the frame link, not the board link. With your frame set up, let's talk about the core building block of most Miro boards, the sticky note. How do you make one? It's simple. Press N to create one. It appears wherever your cursor is, ready to type into immediately, no extra click needed. Press Escape when you're done. If you want to move it, click and drag. If you want to duplicate it, press Ctrl+D or hold Alt and drag. When you do that, an exact copy appears. And if you make a mistake, Ctrl+Z undoes it. A few things that make stickies more useful in practice. First, keep the color in mind. You can change the color of a sticky from the formatting panel on the right. Use this intentionally. One color for ideas, another for questions, another for actions. Consistent color coding means the board communicates information visually, not just through the text on each note. Second, let's adjust the size. The default sticky size works for short ideas. For anything longer, or when you want a note to stand out, you can resize by dragging the corner handles. Sticky notes in Miro aren't fixed size the way physical ones are. And third, grouping. Once you have several sticky notes, you'll want to cluster related ones together. Click and drag across a group to select them all, then drag the whole selection as a unit. This is how you start building the rough clusters that a brainstorm naturally produces. One last thing before you start building, and it's something most beginners skip that they always regret later. Anything on your board that's structural, things like titles, instruction boxes, or frame labels, all of these should be locked before anyone else touches the board. To lock an element, right-click it and choose Lock. A locked element can still be read, but it can't be accidentally moved or deleted. In a live session with multiple people on the board, something will get dragged out of place within the first 5 minutes. Locking prevents that, and the pleading with your participants not to move things around. The cost is zero. The cost of not doing it is rebuilding your layout mid-session. So that's the foundation. You know what Miro is and when to use it. You can navigate the interface and create a board. Before you continue, try this. Build a 3-frame board for a project you're working on. Name the frames with the numbering convention. Add a handful of stickies to each one. And remember, lock the frame titles. That exercise alone will cement more than anything else in this video. The next video picks up from here: shapes, connectors, keyboard shortcuts, and how to build a workflow diagram without touching the toolbar. Until then, Keep practicing, and I'll see you in the next video.